In October 1929, the global economy hit a brick wall. Decades of paper wealth vanished in a single afternoon. The fallout was immediate and visible. Panic spilled out of the banks and flooded the streets as thousands of people realized their savings were gone. Survival replaced building wealth as the primary objective. Men began walking the sidewalks wearing sandwich boards, pleading for any kind of manual labor to keep their families fed. For those families, the struggle was a total lack of opportunity. But today, the modern entrepreneur faces a different crisis, a paralyzing flood of infinite options. We lie in bed at night, scrolling through endless videos, hoarding business models, and stockpiling strategies, waiting for a perfect concept that feels safe enough to start. Whether you are starving for one chance in 1929 or drowning in thousands of them today, the result is identical: total financial paralysis. During the height of the collapse, the Snead family lived near Chicago. They had no special advantages, no capital, and no genius business plan. They spent their energy on a heavily overthought idea, selling a high-end gin and lime mixer to the few wealthy elites who still had money to spend. That highly planned venture was a disaster. It failed to gain any traction, bringing the family to the edge of total ruin. Their journey only truly began after that perfect idea collapsed. It forced them to abandon their theories and look at the raw resources they actually had in front of them. The catalyst for their survival arrived by accident: a surplus shipment of raw tomatoes sent from a friend's farm. Rather than let the produce rot, Mrs. Snead began juicing the tomatoes in her kitchen and sharing jars with her neighbors, acting out of utility rather than strategy. The reaction was immediate. Neighbors ignored the original lime mixer and began lining up for the tomato juice, creating high demand for a product the Sneads hadn't even planned to sell. Mashing tomatoes provided market data that planning couldn't replicate. Action exposed a truth their brainstorms missed. The Sneads dropped the lime drink and committed entirely to the tomatoes, betting their future on the market's validated path. Raw market feedback only works if you have the discipline to abandon your original plan and commit strictly to what the audience is actually asking for. Even with a validated product, they hit a wall. Mass-produced, low-quality grocery store juices were crushing them on price. They had a superior product, but they were trying to sell it to budget-conscious shoppers who couldn't afford to pay for quality. They executed a deliberate pivot, moving their focus away from the average consumer and toward high-status luxury buyers. They took testimonials from their wealthiest customers and walked them directly into the lobbies of the country's most elite hotels. They pitched a brand called Morning Glory. It wasn't framed as a drink, but as the secret to how the wealthy felt glorious and refreshed at the start of their day. By focusing exclusively on morning freshness and elite status, they transformed a common grocery item into a luxury necessity. The Morning Glory brand exploded as luxury hotels and high-end transportation networks adopted the juice as a standard for their patrons. This shift in positioning turned a struggling kitchen operation into a massive industrial empire. The physical product never changed, but changing the story turned a failing commodity into a multi-million-dollar luxury brand. The Sneads survived the Depression by fully committing to a single imperfect path for the long haul. On the modern internet, you will be served millions of lucrative ideas, but every single one of them is worthless without the friction of execution. A serial hoarder of ideas endlessly scrolls for motivation. A true entrepreneur builds a system and embraces the mess of early failure to find out what actually works. Moving from the isolation of overthinking into a structured system of daily action and collective feedback is the only way to replicate that level of scale. Wealth is generated solely by providing value through relentless action. The only perfect idea is the one you actually execute.